When my daughter told me I had 24 hours to get out of our family home, I collapsed in the kitchen chair, too stunned to even cry. Days later, I was sleeping in my car outside the mansion my late husband and I had spent 40 years building together. That's when I realized family bonds are like glass vases, beautiful to display, but shattered with a single push. If you're watching this, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Because this story has more twists than a tornado in a maze, and you'll want to be here for every shocking turn. My name is Eleanor Williams. For the past 20 years since my husband Richard's death, I've lived in our Victorian mansion on Maple Drive, the one with the wraparound porch where I used to rock my baby girl Anna to sleep. That same daughter, now 43, stood before me that fateful Tuesday morning with hatred in her eyes I'd never seen before. I found the emails, Mother, Anna spat, slapping a stack of printed pages onto our breakfast table, coffee sloshing over my crossword puzzle. You've been stealing from Dad's estate for years. His business partner Robert showed me everything. What emails? What are you talking about? I fumbled to put on my reading glasses, hands trembling as I reached for the papers. Anna snatched them back. Don't play innocent. You've been siphoning money from Dad's company into secret accounts. Robert has the proof. The signatures, the wire transfers, everything. That's impossible, I whispered, my mouth suddenly desert dry. I would never. Save it. Anna sliced through my words. Robert explained everything. How you've manipulated me, lied to me. The house isn't even paid off, like you claimed. There's a second mortgage you took out 3 years ago. My heart hammered against my ribs. Anna, please. Robert is lying. Whatever he's shown you, you have until tomorrow morning to pack your essentials and leave. Her voice was ice, her eyes those of a stranger. My lawyer will contact you about the rest of your belongings. You can't do this. This is my home too. Your father would. Dad would be disgusted, she hissed. I've already changed the security codes. Don't make me call the police, Mother. Script part separator equals. Mother. The word hung in the air like a curse. How had we come to this? I spent that night in a daze, packing photo albums and clothes with shaking hands. 47 years in this house, and now I had a single suitcase and 2 cardboard boxes. I kept waiting for Anna to appear in the doorway, to say it was all a misunderstanding. She never came. The next morning, I left my house keys on the entry table beneath the mirror where I'd watched Anna apply her first makeup, where Richard had straightened his tie every morning before work. I walked out without looking back, afraid my legs would give way if I hesitated. For 3 days, I lived in my car, parking behind the grocery store at night, washing up in gas station bathrooms. I couldn't bear to tell my friends what had happened. The humiliation was too raw. On the 4th day, I called my old friend Marge, who immediately insisted I stay with her. Eleanor, this is insane, she said as I sat at her kitchen table, hands wrapped around a mug of tea. Robert Thomas has been trying to get control of Richard's company for years. You know that. Anna believes him completely, I whispered. You should have seen her face, Marge. Like, I was a criminal. What exactly did these emails supposedly say? That I'd been stealing from Richard's estate. Taking company funds. That I forged Richard's signature on documents before he died to get control of assets. I shook my head. It's all lies. I barely understood Richard's business dealings when he was alive, let alone after. Marge's eyes narrowed. Did you actually see these emails? The evidence? No. She wouldn't let me read them. Just waved them in my face. That's convenient. Marge snorted. Eleanor, you need a lawyer. Today. I stared into my tea. I can't afford one. Anna froze our joint accounts. Then I'm paying, Marge said firmly. This isn't just about you being kicked out. Something bigger is happening here. That afternoon, I met with Gerald Hoffman, a no-nonsense attorney with steel gray hair and a reputation for fighting dirty when necessary. He listened without interruption as I explained the situation, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. Mrs. Williams, he said finally, based on what you're telling me, I'm concerned this goes beyond a family dispute. Have you ever heard of elder financial abuse? Script part separator equals. I blinked at Gerald. Elder abuse? I'm only 68. For heaven's sake. Age is irrelevant when someone manipulates you out of your home and assets, he replied, not unkindly. If what you're saying is true, Robert may have committed fraud, and your daughter could be an unwitting accomplice. My hands trembled as I set down my teacup. I don't want Anna in legal trouble. She's been deceived. Let's focus on getting you back into your home first, Gerald said, checking his watch. I'm filing an emergency injunction this afternoon to prevent any transfer of assets or property. But Mrs. Williams, I need you to do something difficult. What's that? Start investigating. We need evidence of Robert's manipulation. Bank statements, company records, anything that contradicts these alleged emails. I left Gerald's office with a knot in my stomach. The last place I wanted to go was Williams Manufacturing, the company Richard had built from nothing. But the next morning, I found myself parked outside the red brick building where I'd once brought Richard lunch and shared anniversary dinners in his corner office. Taking a deep breath, I walked through the front doors like I belonged there. The receptionist, young, with a pixie haircut, looked up. May I help you? I'm Eleanor Williams, I said, surprised at the steadiness in my voice. Richard Williams was my husband. Her eyes widened. Oh. Mrs. Williams. I'm so sorry. I've never met you. I've only been here 6 months. Perfect. She didn't know about the family drama. No problem, dear. I need to pick up some personal items from my husband's old office. Is Robert in today? Mr. Thomas is at an off-site meeting until 3. I smiled. Wonderful. I won't disturb anyone then. 5 minutes later, I was standing in what had been Richard's sanctuary, now clearly Robert's domain. The family photos were gone, replaced by modern art and Robert's golf trophies. But the old filing cabinet remained in the corner, the one Richard had insisted on keeping even after everything went digital. 20 minutes, I whispered to myself, pulling open the bottom drawer. Find something, anything. What I discovered in the next 15 minutes made my blood run cold. Script part separator equals. Hidden behind expense reports and tax forms was a manila folder labeled R.W. Trust Confidential. Inside, I found a copy of Richard's will, not the one read at his funeral, but an earlier version with a critical difference. The original will left the company equally to me and Anna, with Robert as a minority shareholder. The version that was executed after Richard's death gave Robert controlling interest, with Anna as second majority owner and me reduced to a small percentage. My hands shook so badly I could barely take pictures with my phone. The signatures looked similar, but the witness signatures were different. One name caught my eye, Clara Peterson, Robert's secretary for 30 years who had mysteriously retired right after Richard's death. I was so focused on the documents that I almost missed the sound of voices in the hallway. I told you I saw someone go into your office, a man was saying. Probably just maintenance, came Robert's unmistakable baritone. I shoved the papers back into the folder, heart hammering. There was no rear exit, nowhere to hide except the bathroom. I slipped inside just as the office door opened. See? Nobody here, Robert said. I swear I saw a woman. Check the bathroom if you're so worried. I pressed myself against the wall, frantically looking around. The small window was my only escape, but we were on the second floor. Below was a dumpster filled with what looked like packing materials. The bathroom doorknob turned. In that split second, I made my decision, pushing open the window and dropping into the dumpster below. Pain shot through my ankle as I landed, but adrenaline pushed me forward. I limped to my car and sped away, papers clutched against my chest. That evening, I spread the documents across Marge's dining table as Gerald examined them. This is serious, he said, photographing each page. The signatures are similar but definitely not identical. I'm bringing in a forensic document examiner tomorrow. What about Clara Peterson? I asked. She might know something. Already on it, Marge said, hanging up her phone. My cousin plays bridge with her sister. Clara lives in a retirement community in Florida. I have her number. When I called Clara that night, Her initial frostiness melted as soon as I mentioned the altered will. I knew this day would come, she sighed. I've been waiting for someone to ask the right questions. What happened, Clara? Her voice trembled. Robert made me witness that document. Said it was just updating some terms. I didn't realize until later what I'd signed. When I confronted him, he threatened my pension. Said no one would believe me anyway. Would you testify to that? I asked, heart pounding. Honey, I've been waiting 7 years to set this right. Script part separator . The next morning, I was fixing breakfast at Marge's when my phone rang with an unknown number. Mrs. Williams? This is Detective Hayes with the Financial Crimes Unit. We need to speak with you immediately. My spatula clattered to the floor. About what? Allegations of fraud and elder financial abuse. Can you come to the station? 2 hours later, I sat across from a stern-faced detective in a cramped interview room. To my shock, he pushed a folder toward me with my name on it. These complaints were filed by your daughter and Robert Thomas yesterday. They claim you've been embezzling from the family company for years. I nearly laughed from the absurdity. They're setting me up. They have documentation showing your signature on numerous wire transfers. Forged, I said firmly. Just like they forged my husband's will. The detective's eyebrow raised slightly. That's a serious accusation. I have proof, I said, sliding over copies of what I'd found. And a witness willing to testify. As the detective reviewed my evidence, his demeanor shifted. Mrs. Williams, I think we're looking at this case from the wrong angle. That afternoon, Anna called me, her voice shaking with rage. How dare you go to the police? Robert told me everything. How you're trying to frame him now. Anna, listen to me. No. You've gone too far. I'm selling the house. All of it. You'll get nothing. My blood ran cold. What do you mean, selling? Robert found a buyer. The papers are being signed tomorrow. You can't stop it. The line went dead. I called Gerald immediately. They're selling my house tomorrow. They can't, he said calmly. I filed that injunction, remember? No sales can proceed. What if they ignore it? His voice hardened. Then they'll be in contempt of court. But we need to move faster than I thought. I'm calling Judge Freeman for an emergency hearing. I hung up, hands trembling. If Robert was rushing to sell the house, it meant one thing. He was getting desperate. And desperate people make mistakes. Script part separator . That night, I barely slept, memories flooding back of Richard's final days. How Robert had been constantly at his bedside, insisting on private conversations. How documents appeared for signing when Richard was heavily medicated. I'd been too grief-stricken to question anything. At 7:15 the next morning, Gerald called. Emergency hearing granted. Judge Freeman will see us at 9 a.m. When we arrived at the courthouse, Anna and Robert were already there, huddled with a sharp-looking attorney I'd never seen before. Anna wouldn't meet my eyes, but Robert shot me a smug smile that made my skin crawl. Mrs. Williams, Judge Freeman began once we were all seated. I've reviewed the injunction request. Before I rule, I want to hear directly from both parties. Robert's attorney stood first, all polished confidence. Your Honor, Eleanor Williams has fabricated these claims to maintain control of assets she's been systematically draining. We have evidence of her misconduct spanning years. Your Honor, Gerald countered, we have proof the will was altered after Richard Williams' death. The witness to that forgery is ready to testify by video conference today. The judge nodded. Let's see this witness. Clara Peterson's face appeared on the courtroom screen, her expression resolute despite her age. Mrs. Peterson, the judge said, please tell us what you witnessed. Robert Thomas brought me a document 7 years ago, she began, voice steady. Told me it was updating Richard's will after his death. I signed as witness, without reading it carefully. When I later realized it completely changed the distribution of assets, Robert threatened my pension. Robert leapt to his feet. She's senile. This is absurd. Mr. Thomas, the judge warned, control yourself. Clara continued, I kept copies of the original document drafts in my personal files, the ones Robert thought he destroyed. I've provided them to Mrs. Williams' attorney. I glanced at Anna. whose face had gone ashen, her eyes darting between Robert and me. Furthermore, Clara added, I witnessed Robert forging Eleanor's signature on multiple occasions. He has a light box in his office specifically for tracing signatures. Script part separator equals. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Robert's face contorted in rage as he lunged toward his attorney, whispering furiously. Your Honor, Gerald spoke up, we have more. Detective Hayes? The detective approached the bench, carrying a thick folder. Your Honor, based on new evidence, we've opened an investigation into Mr. Thomas for multiple counts of fraud, forgery, and elder financial abuse. Our forensic accountants have traced over $2.3 million diverted from Williams Manufacturing to offshore accounts controlled by Mr. Thomas. Robert's attorney stood. Your Honor, we need time to review these allegations. The judge's gaze hardened. I'm granting the emergency injunction. No assets are to be sold or transferred pending full investigation. Mrs. Williams is to have immediate access to her home. I exhaled shakily, relief flooding through me. Then Anna stood up. Your Honor, she said, her voice small, I need to say something. The courtroom fell silent. I believe I've been manipulated, she continued, not looking at Robert. Robert showed me emails supposedly from my mother, but refused to let me forward them or keep copies. He's been pressuring me to sell the house quickly, saying we needed to act before Mother drained everything. Robert exploded. You ungrateful little. After everything I've done for you. Two bailiffs moved toward him as the judge banged her gavel. Mr. Thomas, one more outburst, and you'll be held in contempt. Judge Freeman turned to Anna. Ms. Williams, are you withdrawing your complaints against your mother? Anna nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes, Your Honor. And I'd like to file my own complaint against Robert Thomas for deception and coercion. I stared at my daughter, hope and caution warring within me. Was this genuine remorse or another manipulation? As we left the courtroom, Robert was surrounded by police officers, his face purple with rage. I see you watching, Eleanor. This isn't over. I'll destroy you both. Script part separator equals. Detective Hayes stepped forward, cuffing Robert's wrists as he continued shouting threats. Robert Thomas, you're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and attempted theft by deception. I watched, stunned, as they led him away. For 7 years I'd trusted him as Richard's friend and partner, never suspecting the viper in our midst. Anna stood awkwardly nearby, tears streaming down her face. Mom, she whispered, I don't know what to say. Not here, I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. Let's go home. The drive back to our house was silent, thick with unsaid words. When we pulled into the driveway, I paused before getting out. I need to ask you something, Anna. Do you really believe I'd steal from your father? Her shoulders slumped. Robert had these emails, they looked so real. He showed me bank statements with your signature. He said Dad had confided in him before he died that you were taking money. And you believed him without even asking me? He had proof. She insisted, fresh tears spilling. And then when I confronted you, you seemed so guilty. That wasn't guilt. That was shock that my own daughter thought so little of me. Inside the house, everything looked exactly as I'd left it nearly 2 weeks ago. My half-finished crossword still lay on the kitchen table. Anna followed me like a shadow. Robert said we needed to sell quickly, she admitted. He already had a buyer lined up, his cousin's development company. They were going to tear down the house and build condominiums. I gasped. This house? Your father's pride and joy? He made it sound like our only option. Said you'd taken out loans against the property that were coming due. I shook my head. There are no loans, Anna. Robert forged everything. She collapsed into a kitchen chair. I've been such a fool. Script part separator equals. I looked at my daughter, her hair tangled, mascara streaking down her cheeks. The anger I'd carried for 2 weeks warred with the maternal instinct to come for her. How deep are you in this, Anna? I asked finally. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. He had me sign papers as a company officer. I thought they were routine. Now I don't know what I've signed. Gerald needs to see everything, I said firmly. This isn't just about me or the house anymore. This is about your father's entire legacy. The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Through the peephole, I saw Detective Hayes standing on our porch. Mrs. Williams, he said when I opened the door. We found something concerning during our search of Mr. Thomas's office. May I come in? At the kitchen table, he spread out documents in protective sleeves. These were in a hidden safe behind Mr. Thomas's bookcase. We believe they're the originals. I gasped, recognizing Richard's handwriting on a letter dated just days before his death. If you're reading this, something has gone wrong. It began. Robert has been pressuring me to change my will. I've pretended to agree while secretly documenting his attempts. Eleanor, if anything happens to me, contact James Whitfield at the SEC. Robert's been running a shell company using our manufacturing contracts as cover. The evidence is in the blue external hard drive in my golf bag. Anna made a strangled sound. The blue drive. He took that the day after Dad died. Said it was just personal photos he wanted to preserve for us. Detective Hayes leaned forward. Mrs. Williams, do you still have your husband's golf bag? I shook my head. Robert insisted on taking it for a memorial display at the company. Well, the detective said, the good news is we found a backup drive hidden in Thomas's vacation cabin. The bad news? What we found suggests this goes far beyond just your family. He's been running this scheme with at least 3 other business partners' widows. Script part separator . The revelation hit me like a physical blow. 3 other widows, which meant 3 other families torn apart by Robert's schemes. I need those names, I said, surprising myself with the steel in my voice. Detective Hayes hesitated, then nodded. I'll see what I can do. But right now, we need to move quickly. Thomas made a call from the station to someone named Victor Mercer. Anna gasped. Victor? He's Robert's banker. They golfed together. The detective's expression darkened. We believe Mr. Mercer may be helping hide assets. We've obtained warrants for his financial records, but that will take time. Meanwhile, we need to secure anything else Robert might be after. Like what? I asked. Any safe deposit boxes? Storage units? Places Richard might have kept important documents? I froze, a memory surfacing. The lake house. Richard had a hidden floor safe there. Robert doesn't know about it. 20 minutes later, Anna and I were in my car, racing toward the small cabin Richard had built as a weekend retreat. I hadn't been there since his death. Too many memories. Mom, Anna said softly as we drove, I need to tell you something. Robert, we were involved. I nearly drove off the road. Involved? What are you saying? She stared at her hands. After Dad died, Robert was so supportive. One thing led to another. He said we'd get married once the company stabilized. The betrayal felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Robert had seduced my daughter as part of his plan. Did he propose recently? I asked, piecing it together. Right before showing you those fake emails? She nodded miserably. He said we needed to get me full control of everything first. For tax purposes. Script part separator . I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. That manipulative snake had used everyone, Richard, me, my daughter, other vulnerable widows. He'd played us all. How much did he take? I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. I don't know exactly. Millions, probably. Anna stared out the window. He was always moving money around, saying it was for tax advantages or reinvestment. I signed whatever he put in front of me. When we reached the lake house, it looked abandoned, leaves clogging the gutters, windows grimy with dust. Inside, cobwebs draped the corners. I headed straight to Richard's study, pulling back the worn rug to reveal the floor safe. I didn't know this was here, Anna whispered. Your father installed it himself. Only he and I knew the combination. My fingers trembled as I turned the dial. Richard's birthday, our anniversary, the day Anna was born. The lock clicked open. Inside was a leather portfolio I'd never seen before, labeled insurance. I opened it to find dozens of pages of meticulous notes in Richard's handwriting, documenting conversations with Robert. Photos of documents. bank account numbers, and a letter addressed to me. My dearest Eleanor, it began. If you're reading this, my suspicions about Robert were correct. I've been gathering evidence, but my health is failing faster than expected. I don't trust him, Ellie. Watch him around Anna. He's shown an interest that disturbs me. Everything you need is here. Protect our daughter. Protect our legacy. All my love, Richard. I looked up at Anna, whose face had drained of color as she read over my shoulder. Dad knew, she whispered. He knew what Robert was planning. Even about us. Script part separator equals. My hands shook as I gathered Richard's documents. 7 years of grief and uncertainty crystallized into clarity. Richard hadn't just been paranoid, he'd been right. We have to get this to Detective Hayes immediately, I said. As we left the cabin, Anna's phone rang. She stared at the screen. It's Victor Mercer. Put it on speaker, I whispered. Anna? Victor's voice sounded tense. Where are you? Just running errands.
Why?
Listen carefully. Robert called me from jail. He says you need to get to your mother's lake house immediately. There's something there he needs. Anna's eyes met mine, wide with alarm. What is it? I don't know the details. Just that it's worth millions and could destroy everything if the police find it. I'm heading there now to help you.
No.
Anna blurted. I'll handle it. Don't go there. Too late. I'm 10 minutes away. Robert said it's in a floor safe in the study. Do you know the combination? I know. I didn't even know about a safe. Well, I brought tools. We'll get it open. See you soon. The call ended. Anna looked at me in panic. He's coming here. I clutched Richard's portfolio to my chest. And he's working with Robert. We need to leave, now. But as we hurried toward my car, headlights swept the driveway. A black SUV screeched to a halt, blocking our exit. Victor Mercer stepped out, followed by 2 men I didn't recognize. Going somewhere, ladies? Victor called, his smile not reaching his eyes. I believe you have something that belongs to us. Script part separator equals. I clutched the portfolio tighter as the men approached. Run, I whispered to Anna. Take these to the detective. I'm not leaving you, Mother, she hissed back. What a touching family reunion, Victor sneered, walking closer. That portfolio, please, Mrs. Williams. This belongs to my husband, I replied, stepping back. Your husband is dead, and that contains business information that doesn't concern you. The taller man behind Victor moved to my left, trying to flank us. I looked him straight in the eyes. These documents prove Robert Thomas committed fraud and forgery. They show how he manipulated financial records and forged signatures. Is that the business you're part of, Victor? His expression hardened. You have no idea what you're talking about. Actually, she does, came a voice from behind us. Detective Hayes emerged from the trees, gun drawn. 2 uniformed officers flanked him. Victor Mercer, hands where I can see them. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud and obstruction of justice. The next few minutes were chaos. Victor and his men being handcuffed, patrol cars arriving with flashing lights. I stood frozen. Richard's portfolio still clutched to my chest. Your neighbor called 911 when they saw suspicious vehicles, Detective Hayes explained. Good thing we were already on our way to meet you. He took the portfolio gently from my hands. This is everything? I nodded, suddenly exhausted. Everything Richard left to protect us. Mrs. Williams, Hayes said quietly, what you've uncovered isn't just fraud. It's a major financial conspiracy. Robert Thomas and his associates have been targeting family businesses after the owner's death, using the same playbook each time. We've identified 6 families so far. 6 families torn apart, I whispered, watching Anna give her statement to an officer. Hayes nodded grimly. The district attorney wants to meet with you tomorrow. This is going to be a very public case. As I closed the courtroom doors behind me 8 months later, the weight of vindication settled on my shoulders. The verdict was unanimous. Robert Thomas guilty on all 37 counts. Victor Mercer on 19. 4 other accomplices sentenced for their roles. The media called it the Widowmaker scandal. 6 families across 3 states, all following the same pattern, A beloved business owner dies, his partner swoops in to help the grieving family, and documents mysteriously change. Robert's final desperate glare as they led him away in handcuffs told me everything. He'd never imagined being brought down by a helpless old lady. Anna waited for me on the courthouse steps, holding a small potted orchid, Richard's favorite. Our relationship was still healing, fragmented trust being glued back piece by piece through weekly therapy sessions and late-night conversations. "Ready to go home?" she asked. Home. The Victorian mansion we'd saved was now being transformed. We'd converted the East Wing into a resource center for victims of financial fraud, focusing especially on widows and elderly people targeted by predators like Robert. That evening, as I sat on the porch swing Richard had built, I opened his final letter again, the one found in the lake house safe. The paper was worn now from countless readings, but his words remained a lighthouse. "Remember, Ellie," he'd written, "our legacy isn't in buildings or bank accounts. It's in how fiercely we protect what matters." Looking out at the twilight settling over our garden, I finally felt at peace. Richard would be proud, not just of saving our home and his company, but of how we'd turned our pain into protection for others. Some betrayals break you, but the right ones can remake you into something stronger than before.